Hi everyone, welcome back to Daily Freddo. Here I am with another UFC episode as requested by those of you who enjoyed the previous ones. We are talking about UFC again because UFC announces Bud Light as its official beer in partnership with Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light faced intense backlash earlier this year following its partnership with trans activist Dylan Mulvaney. For those of you who don't follow UFC fighters, let me tell you, we had plenty of champions recently speaking out and being very vocal on their social media about trans agenda, insanity of more than two genders, so-called woman's face and women's safety, men taking part in women's sports, for example, and so on. Take Sean Strickland, for example. Here is him at Joe Rogan podcast talking about trans craziness in sports.
That's one thing that I'm happy the UFC would never allow.
Oh,
Jesus
dude, every
Christ.
time I go on the news, I think like Joe Rogan's a bigot hating on the trans community.
What the is going on
Bro,
with people allowing biological men to compete against women? I mean, out of all the sensitive shit, I'm a pretty sensitive person. I'm pretty open-minded, but you gotta, like, somebody sent me, like, a video of a guy in a dress with a hard-on in a bathroom.
Yes,
Have you seen that video?
Yes,
Taking photos of women?
Have you ever trained with a woman? Have you ever like trained
Yes.
with so you know Gabby Garcia?
Sure.
I trained with her once.
Oh,
And I
boy.
was like, before we trained, I was like, told the coach, like, dude, am I gonna have to this chick up? Because she's bigger than me.
She's huge.
And I was like, am I gonna have to
And she's on all the Mexican
her
supplements.
is probably bigger than this can. You know?
So you see, they do have problem with it. We've also had Khabib speaking about being completely confused by gender-neutral toilets and being super vocal about the importance of men being raised like men. So they grow to be protectors, they should be strong, brave, provide for the family, and so on. Have a look.
He train every day and there is no choice. He's gonna train. Because if you're man, you have to be strong. I see only women and men. There is no between.
And then we get the news that UFC partners with Bud Light. It sparked outrage because of Bud Light's bad reputation after partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, trans influencer, biological man, who basically mocks women for a living. Here's an example of Dylan's content, just so you get the idea of who we are talking about. And guys, I'm sorry you have to see this.
Day 74, being a girl, round of applause for the makeup. And I wore this outfit shopping today. And I thought that these might be my new shopping shorts, but I was walking around and everyone was staring. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? And they were all staring directly at my crotch. And I went, oh, I forgot that my crotch doesn't look like other women's crotches sometimes because mine doesn't look like a little Barbie pocket. And I thought, okay, Dylan, you have some options here. Number one, you can stop wearing clothes that fit like this and just find looser fitting items. Number two, I can do a tuck, which is gonna have to be a whole other video, but it's very painful and involved or number three, I just normalize it and I wear clothes like this and we all just normalize women having bulges sometimes because we're coming up on bikini season, baby, and you might see a bulge or two. So no.
I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
Yes, so this was the person that was the face of Bud Light for about 5 minutes before all hell broke loose. Consumers went crazy. Bud Light became a beer symbolic of the LGBTQ activists, which meant the rest of the population wouldn't even want to be seen holding this beer.
Bud Light.
It's gotten so bad for the company that now whenever some business does a bad PR move, people yell, let's Bud Light them. Bud Light became a verb for that. Here is Dylan for Bud Light. Again, I'm sorry.
Lots to say.
So now that you know more or less what happened in the past, you can understand why people were so surprised, to say the least, when the announcement was made about this particular collaboration. $100 million collaboration, guys. Here is Dana White, the president of USC, defending his decision.
Comes to Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light. Everybody talks about, oh, you did it for money. Hey, dummies, all sponsorship deals are about money, okay? So when you talk about being a sellout, I had multiple deals in front of me. So it's not like, oh, Bud Light showed up and they were the only option I had to get money. You know how fucking stupid that is to think that this was all about and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, everybody on every side of this deal that were involved, other beer companies and everything else, absolutely positively know that this was not about money for me. We were going to end up with money with no matter who we ended up with. For Anheuser-Busch, it was about values, core values for me. I'm at a point in my life and I'm at a point in my career where nothing is just about money anymore.
Someone said, didn't have to listen to Dana. Have been a loyal fan of UFC for years. Not anymore. Slays me because I've loved the UFC since the beginning. I'm out, Dana. Not that you care. Another one, damn. And I was going to just ignore this whole thing because I assumed it was about the money. It saddens me to say this, as I have been a UFC and a Dana White fan all my life, but due to this decision and the reasoning behind it, I can no longer support Dana or the UFC. And this one, nothing says values like some fruitcake in a dress that thinks he's a woman. The user, of course, refers to Dylan Mulvaney. Let me show you this clip with a better explanation when it comes to Bud Light's strategy.
Bud Light is now back in business with the UFC. I think they were in the business before. A lot of people talking about this. I actually don't blame Bud Light. Their business was destroyed. It effectively no longer exists. They've lost like 30% of their business. They have no profit anymore. Nobody at any of the tailgates that I'm going to will even be seen holding a Bud Light. Nobody at any of the bars that I go to will even be seen holding a Bud Light. What they should do is say, yeah, we screwed up. We never should have done that. We believe that men are men and women are women. And I think their sales would go back up. They're afraid to say that. But what they're basically doing is trying to align themselves with the most masculine products imaginable. According to reports, paying over $100 million to the UFC. I don't blame the UFC for taking the money because I do think that this fits the UFC brand. That is, they like to drink beer. Dana White's perspective on this, I understand as well, which is this brand wants to be able to reach back to their consumer. I don't think it's enough. Candidly, I don't think it's going to be enough.
So it seems after the biggest marketing fiasco of the century, Bud Light is trying to make a comeback. And I agree, for Bud Light, it's a great business decision. But is it for the UFC? Everyone waited impatiently for Sean Strickland to speak on the matter. This guy is unapologetic and very straightforward, so fans were sure he would be the loudest voice against this partnership. But this is what he actually had to say.
So guys, I'm on my way to training, and I just found out Bud Light's a new sponsor. And goddamn, I applaud you guys. I am so fucking proud of you guys for doing the right things after that fuck up. You know how I feel about transgenders. I go fucking hard. Just what I do. I'm the biggest advocate of biological females. If I said my views on transgenders, I would get kicked off Instagram. But I could not fucking wait to pick up a big old fucking Bud Light can and fix you, Bud Light, because you guys are doing the right fucking thing. I, Sean Strickland, a representation of the American people, are gonna fix you, Bud Light. Thank you for giving me money. Thank you for supporting my platform. I'm gonna help you guys.
Judging by this, we could only assume that a big part of this $100 million deal was that biggest fighters must speak positively about Bud Light. It really looks like this to me. And that's why I'll say it again. Smart move for Bud Light. They are trying so much to recover. Strickland asked his followers what they thought about the Bud Light and UFC deal. Someone said, "What do you think? You will probably have to promote them." And then Strickland answered, "Well, good point. Here's the thing. Women are born, not made. Transgenders are mentally ill and society should never accept this as normal. Now, Bud Light gives me money, and I just said that. I've been saying it my entire career. So, what do they support?" What do they support? Nobody knows. Bud Light got lost, like Victoria's Secret. They went woke and almost broke, so every move since then was pure damage control. They were a very well-known brand that was always involved with sports. Then they got that marketing VP woman who decided the brand was wrong, needed to evolve towards inclusivity. Have a look at her talking. It was cringe then, it is cringe now, it's a disaster.
So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. What does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. We had this hangover. Bud Light had been kind of a brand of bratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it was really important that we had another approach.
Freddie is bad!
Yep, they learned the hard way. Listen to your audience, listen to your client. And if it ain't broke, don't try to go woke. The worst is though, that after the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco, they didn't pick a side. They did not apologize. They did not admit they were wrong. They also didn't come to Dylan's defense while getting butchered online. I mean, as much as I am against this person for ridiculing womanhood, as much as I can't bear to look at this person, they hired Dylan to represent their brand. And when shit hit the fan, they left him high and dry. They didn't stand by their decision or admit it was the wrong one. They just left this thing to hang in the air, hoping it will blow over. And Dylan mentioned it in the acceptance speech for Woman of the Year. Yep, Dylan got the award for Woman of the Year. No joke. Have a look at this. Dylan Mulvaney says Woman of the Year award means so much more after Bud Light backlash. Attitude magazine celebrates TikTok star who collaborated with beer maker who left her high and dry after conservatives boycotted. Anyway, after all this, when president of the UFC says there are many reasons why I chose to go with Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, most importantly because I feel we are very aligned when it comes to our core values and what the UFC brand stands for. What does he mean? What are those core values? See how it doesn't look good for UFC? However, and it's a big however, Strickland could be right. UFC and the fighters with their massive following could help Bud Light recover to a degree. Could. Not sure to what degree, but the competition and the fighters have really die-hard fans. So it could do something positive for Bud Light. For UFC though, well, judging by the comments, at least for now, it doesn't look so good. Someone says, Dana White just destroyed the UFC and himself for that matter. I've lost all respect for him over this. America spoke, he just destroyed his brand. Another one, disappointed in Dana White, I'll never pay for a UFC PPV again, not going to support Bud Light directly or indirectly. And this one, UFC, what are you thinking? I'm done. Well, I'm done watching UFC now. No more UFC, UFC cancel, game over UFC, don't watch UFC. Yeah. It looks like more and more people don't want to have anything to do with woke movement, fake inclusivity. Everyone is sick of it and they are not afraid to cut off any ties with those who represent those crooked values. Good for them, to be honest. But as usual, I want to hear what you guys think. Is the backlash on UFC justified? Should Dana reconsider partnering with someone else? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, like and share it as it's the only way my channel can grow. Please subscribe and turn on the notifications to never miss another Daily Freddo episode. And for even more content, follow me on Instagram @DailyFreddo. That's all for today. Have a good one.
And I saw some other asshole today say, sounds like they wrote him a script on what to say. Nobody writes me a script.